Brought to you by Budweiser. The best things in life are the things that are true. Budweiser. Analyze that. Robert De Niro and Billy Crystal are back with even more laughs, mob hits, and therapy. Order it now on pay-per-view and movies on demand. And Wendy's late night pickup window, where you can eat late, eat great, even late. Yeah, you can eat late too. It's Bud Pole qualifying from Daytona International Speedway on TNT. Live from the World Center of Racing, second car on the track, Jeremy Mayfield on his second flying lap.
And his first lap was faster than Terry Labonte, so right now the 19 car on provisional pole.
Actually, Jeremy's first lap was quicker than his best lap, so I was a little bit surprised Terry didn't run quicker than that, BP.
Obviously, they made some changes that did not work very well on that 5 Kellogg's car.
Jeremy got his first top 10 finish since the Daytona 500 at the Sonoma Road Course race last time out a couple of Sundays ago. Lap 2 for Jeremy will be the quickest of those runs so far, and you see the numbers there. And just by way of comparison, the Bud Pole for the Daytona 500 went at 186.6 miles an hour. Jeremy just ran 183.9. Well, you've seen everyone but one member of our crew so far. Dave Burns is out meandering around the grounds here at Daytona. David?
And Alan, I found technical inspection here at Daytona, which is a lot more critical than at a lot of the small tracks the cars race at. Aerodynamics so important here, and you got to remember, these cars are handmade. The bodies are all made by individuals, and then they have to adhere to NASCAR's rules. So back here, they're finishing up. Around the side, they're getting shocks given to them by NASCAR for the rear. They're getting their rear springs checked to make sure they're at least 350 pounds of spring rate. All these cars are designed to be a little bit different in the way they look, but in the way they race, equal, so that the competition is equal. And by the way, a little restrictor plate is the first thing that they're handed down here by NASCAR to reduce that horsepower. Alan?
All right, Dave, there it is. Benny showed you in his garage a minute ago what it looks like virtually.
And here he is, Jeff Gordon. Moved up to second in NASCAR Winston Cup point standings as Matt Yoakum talked about going for that 5th Winston Cup championship.
You know, there have been a lot of people talking and writing about a different Jeff Gordon this year, kind of coming out of his shell in some ways. He was very outspoken about Robbie Gordon's pass on Kevin Harvick coming back to the caution in the Sonoma race a couple of weeks ago.
And that's something a couple of years ago I don't think Jeff Gordon would have spoken up as he did about that situation. As a matter of fact, in the garage here, earlier I saw Robbie and Jeff talking, and I asked Robbie Loomis what they said, and he said Jeff told him the same thing he told everybody else. He thought it was not a good move.
First of his 2 laps complete. He will be 3rd fastest so far, but again, remember that the second lap is going to be the money lap.
Going back to that, I think Robbie still probably disagrees with him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I didn't get Robbie Gordon's side of it.
Yeah.
Jeff Gordon's career qualifying average at Daytona, 9.7. This is his 22nd Daytona race.
9.7.
Did you ever have a track like that where you had a qualifying average at it?
No.
Solid?
That's strong.
How about you?
Got a little track in the backyard I'm pretty fast on.
Are you?
Yeah.
Go-kart?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that count?
No, I don't think so. Time to beat 48.926 for Jeremy Mayfield.
And Jeff Gordon ran a 77, 48.77 in practice. A little bit slower, 100 per second slower, 48.781. Currently, he's first. Marty.
Well, BP, meanwhile, his teammate Terry Labonte got out of the car shaking his head. Was that a shake of disgust, Terry?
Well, we slowed down a little bit, and I don't know why. I thought we were going to pick up a little bit from what we practiced, and so I don't know. We'll just have to go back and look at it and see what we can do and work on it tomorrow night.
A lot of guys are saying, guys up in the booth, that the early draw was not the good one because the temperature will fall as the night goes along, and, of course, cooler temperatures mean usually a little more speed.
Here is
the man of the hour.
Boy, Mr. Daytona of late, Michael Waltrip. 3 straight Daytona victories is what he's going for here. Back on February 16th, the move on the restart around Jimmy Johnson. Remember, Dale Earnhardt Jr. was not leading at that point. He had electrical problems earlier. Then the rain came and shortened the race, and Michael Waltrip picked up his second Daytona 500 win. That following on the heels of his victory in this race last July. If Michael can win Saturday night's race, he will become only the second driver in this track's 45-year history to win 3 straight Winston Cup races.
Was Cale Yarborough, who did Cale Yarborough
Yes.
did the other one?
Very good.
Back in the 60s.
Yeah, the Independence Weekend race in '67, and then he swept the 500 and the 400 in '68. Not been done since.
60s.
Yeah,
That's why I didn't know that answer.
that's right.
I wasn't even around.
Michael Waltrip in practice was second fastest. A lot of folks thought that the guy that posted a quicker time than him had gotten a little bit of drafting help. Was a little too close to a car in front of him on the track. That was David Green, so a lot of folks think this was the quickest car in practice.
Marty Snyder talked to Michael and wondered if going this early was going to be a detriment to him. He felt like some people were not showing everything they had in practice. Michael, the first lap was not very good. We expected that.
You know that since joining Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, Michael Waltrip has led every Daytona race and has scored a top 5 finish in every Daytona race since joining this team.
That's strong.
You know, that car bottomed out there in between 1 and 2, BP. And that's something that you don't want to see at a racetrack like this, because anytime that car hits the racetrack and you see sparks fly, you're scrubbing speed off. And he hit it pretty good up there.
Michael qualified 3rd for tomorrow night's NASCAR Busch Series race that you'll see here on TNT Live at 8 Eastern Time. Can he bump Jeff Gordon off the bump pole now? No.
No!
Close, but not quite. Gordon ran a 48.78, Michael with a 48.83. He is second early in Bud Pole qualifying at Daytona.
Hi, folks.
Back to Daytona on TNT, and Mark is not as quick as he'd like to be.
I talked to Mark last night, and again, just like Matt Kenseth, they chose to bring a car with more downforce because he wanted something he felt like he could race better with. He knew he was going to be a little bit slow in qualifying. Marty?
Well, BP, a little earlier, Jeff Gordon told me top 5 would be good, but you might stick this thing on the pole. You think you can beat all these guys? You're going to wait a long time, don't you?
I don't think so, but, you know, looking to see what Michael ran, that had a pretty good indication of how we're going to do. He was good all day today, and it's funny how things change when you go through that room over there, and, you know, we didn't pick up as much as we thought we could, but it's a good, solid lap. You know, you watch the RPM, you listen to the pitch of the engine, and everything felt good, looked good. So, you know, we got to be happy with the lap, just kind of watch and see what these other guys do.
That's far the fastest car. Matt Yoakum.
Already crew chief Chad Knaus behind us here in the suit. He has the 48 car tuned up, 6th fastest in practice. What about your shot for the pole?
I don't know. SpongeBob keeps saying he's going to climb in the car with me and go for a lap, but I'm happy with him on the hood. We've got a great paint scheme this weekend. I know a lot of kids are going to enjoy watching SpongeBob go around the racetrack on top of some adults that are fans as well. So we've got a great shot. A little surprised Jeff only ran a 78, and then Michael only ran an 80. So I think you know, this Los Monte Carlo with SpongeBob on the hood, we've got a very good shot at winning this pole today, and we're excited for it.
I don't know how you got Chad in the suit, but
I don't know either, especially these bright yellow leotards. So we'll have to ask him when we find them.
Obviously, folks, that was not Chad Knaus.
Well, how do you know?
Well, that's right. I don't know.
We can't see Chad right now.
That's true.
Jimmy talked about a different paint scheme. That's something you're going to see a lot of in Saturday night's race. Here's a good example. This is Jeff Green in the normally yellow #1 Pennzoil car for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated.
And this was the pole sitter for the Daytona 500, driving the 30 car, the AOL car. Has switched rides since then.
Something about these big occasion races. They like to paint them up different, sell the souvenirs and all the rest. And for some teams, just mark the occasion. And here's one tonight, so we'll look for Jeff Green in silver instead of the yellow on Saturday night. 49.95 the first lap for Jeff. And Benny mentioned Jeff on the pole for the Daytona 500, but that was driving for Richard Childress. Steve Park in this car in February in the one team qualified 32nd. So we'll see what happens here for Jeff Green. He was 11th fastest in practice earlier today.
Car looks good. Down on the bottom of the racetrack, looking at that front valence, it was down a lot lower than it was on the 6 car Mark Martin.
I don't think he's going to be happy with that lap, Wally. 49.331 for a quick lap, and that's the slowest of the 6 cars that have been out.
Marty.
Hey guys, a lot of guys are a little surprised about how slow they were going versus practice. You think you would pick up a little bit more than that, Michael?
Well, we ran a 60 in practice with our Stars and Stripes hot rod, and it just lost 50 RPM. You could hear the engine just wasn't quite singing like it was in practice. I knew it as soon as I got on the back straightaway, but I don't know if everybody slows down. Jeff must have not slowed down much. He beat me, and I was ahead of him earlier, but I think I qualified 7th here last year and won, so we're still on course.
Yeah, he usually qualifies pretty well at these races, and it doesn't seem to matter where he starts. He finds his way to the front throughout the race, guys.
All right, here's the car that was the fastest car, turned in the fastest lap in practice this afternoon. But was he getting help?
Yeah, that was the big question. Everybody asked everybody, well, did the 60 car get help? Did he get any drafting when he was out there when he ran? So we're about to see.
We'll find out in about 2 minutes.
And it's difficult to, in practice, to get a clean lap, to go out there and make a mock qualifying run without getting a draft off other cars, because there's always other cars on the racetrack. So there's a lot of guesswork.
You know, you can follow this weekend's racing action live online with NASCAR.com's free Track Pass weekend. Yes, the word there was free Track Pass weekend. And to find out more, just visit NASCAR.com. David Green, the 94 NASCAR Busch Series champion, qualified 22nd for tomorrow night's Busch Series race. He and this team did not qualify for the Daytona 500 in February. So that's a pretty big turnaround to go from not qualifying to being fastest in practice, and even still feeling like you've got maybe a top 15 car without the draft.
He's got to hustle, because this lap was about the same speed as Jeff Green on his first lap, 49.86. I would think about 49 flat would be all he could hope to do in this 60 car, and that would put him right now about 4th, which wouldn't be bad. This is another car of the Hendrick Motorsports stable.
Here's a fluted one here.
Yes.
Gary Dehart heading up the effort here for David Green this weekend. David's got a couple of previous Winston Cup starts at Daytona. His best qualifying run was 27th for this race in 1999. So let's see what he does here. This was the fastest car in practice statistically. How's it going to shake out in qualifying?
Oh, it's not the fastest car anymore. 4th best so far.
Out of 7 that have gone, Jeff Gordon leads Bud Pole qualifying.
Could be, but you know, I mean.
From the network that knows drive.
Welcome back to Daytona as our coverage of Bud Pole qualifying continues. Here's a look at the Wendy's race menu for the rest of the holiday weekend. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock on TNT, it's NASCAR Busch Series racing from the Daytona International Speedway. Then Saturday, we return to NBC for the Pepsi 400. Our coverage begins with the Discover Card Countdown to Green at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, Saturday night, right here from Daytona. 8 cars have attempted a qualifying run. Tony Raines on the track right now. Let's go upstairs to Alan.
Coming to the checkered flag to finish his 2-lap run, Bill. And let's see where Tony's going to shake out. He needs to get in on his time because he's 41st in owner points, his team is, and a provisional not likely to get back to them.
I don't think that's going to do it for him.
I don't think so either. 49.525 for the fastest lap, 181.7 miles per hour. I agree with you, Wally. I don't think that's going to make it.
And again, 47 teams here to get the 43 starting spots in the race, so someone's going to be loading up and going home at the end of the night. Marty, is it you?
It would be, Alan, and most people would think that Mark Martin would be disappointed with his time, but their goal today was just not to take a provisional. So are you happy with that?
Yeah, you know, I'm impressed with my race team. The Viagra guys are, you know, they're pretty determined. And I told them we finished 5th with this car in February in the 500, and I told them bring this thing back in July and we'll take a provisional and go racing. And it looks like we're going to make it on time, so that's pretty impressive. The car races well, the top 10 car in February, and hopefully, you know, we can do that or better.
And he told me just a moment ago, I know we won't qualify well, but this is our best shot. This car is our best shot to win the race. Let's go to the front of the grid with Matt Yoder.
2 Ganassi cars. Marty won the top 10 in practice. The second, the 41 of Casey Mears. You qualified 10th at Talladega. You have this plate qualifying and practicing thing down.
Well, really, it's the guys, you know, back at the shop and the engine shop. You know, they've just done an excellent job with, you know, coming up with a good package. They chipped away at it. You know, Daytona, our first Daytona, was a little rough around the edges, but I think it was for everybody because of the new body styles and nobody knew exactly what to do. But, you know, now that we're getting a little bit better handle on the rules, guys have done an excellent job with the Target Dodge. I mean, it's running real well. I mean, Jamie's running really good. Sterling's running real good. So everybody at Target Chip Ganassi Racing has done a great job.
Regis and Kelly, part of a date program. What is that about?
I just can't find a date, man. I've been looking all over the place. No, I don't know. I mean, they just called me up the other day and asked me if I wanted to do it, and it sounds like a great deal. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to it. I guess, I don't know exactly how they work it out, but I guess they're going to take a few girls on the show. We get to pick which ones we want to go on a date with up in New York, so sounds like it's going to be a good time. We'll see how it goes.
Log on the internet. Who knows? Maybe you will end up with a date with Casey Mears.
Don't be me.
Thank you. Here's TNT Pace Chase back again this year. The red dot on the top of the screen right now means he is slower than the current pole leading lap at this point on the racetrack.
But not much.
Not much at all.
And the time differential listed in the middle of the track. The position he would currently qualify in is shown in that lower left-hand number. Right now, Jamie McMurray on pace to run the second fastest lap of the session.
He's slowing
lost a lot of time off
bit.
the turn 4, didn't he?
Yes, he is slowing down a little bit. So he's going to be about third or fourth. Third.
86 thousandths of a second in the hole to Jeff Gordon. It's tight up top, but Gordon and Waltrip, two of the early runners, are hanging on here at Daytona.
Qualifying for the Pepsi 400 continues. Kenny Wallace is the 10th driver to make an attempt, and of those 10, he is currently 10th, just one lap down. This is the money lap, coming around to get the checkered flag this time, trying to improve his position, but having a tough time of it so far here this evening. 47 cars going for 43 spots in the Pepsi 400 that runs here on Saturday night. And as Kenny comes around to take the checkered flag, completing his second lap, we are joined on the wagon by Jeff Burton, who goes out 26th in the qualifying order. Checkered flag out for Kenny. Let's see where he falls into the field. Jumps into the 7th spot. How's your car?
We ran a 30-something in practice with, so that was like 27th, 28th before the mad dash at the end where a lot of people got a lot of help. So I don't know what we've got. We don't have a pole-sitting car by any means, but we were really bad in February. We qualified very poorly, and then we went to Talladega. We raced really well. I think we actually started 9th for the Daytona 500 because we raced so well in the 125s. Right. Took a provisional at Talladega, so this is a whole new deal. We started completely over. Really? All of our engineering staff, our Speedway body program, we put a lot of emphasis and tried to take our team, which had struggled the most, and make it better. We think we made some gains. We're still not where we want to be, but we're making gains.
Overall on your program, you're working to step it up a notch.
Well, definitely. Yeah. I mean, our team has performed much better the last 8 weeks than we had been performing, and we have made a lot of progress. Unfortunately, I messed up at Sears Point last week and set us back in points, but we're running a lot better. We're just not knocking the finishes off like we need to. And I'm not claiming we're running like we need to. We still need to be better. But our team, you get the sense by being a part of it that it's starting to work and it's starting to come together. Our testing schedule really gets increased here this coming week. We feel pretty good about. We don't feel real good about where we are, but we feel very good about where we're headed.
Okay, Elliott Sadler on the clock here. Or check that, it's Jimmy Johnson, the 48 car on the racetrack. We talked to him just a little while ago. We can continue our conversation. You can also watch him as he makes his lap here.
I can't watch and talk at the same time.
You can't do that,
too much now.
Well, these cars have slowed down a little bit, it seems like, tonight.
Yeah, you know what? A lot of people think that coming here to Daytona that you pick up a lot of speed when it cools down, but really lately we haven't seen that. We were here testing a few weeks ago, and we didn't see any speed gain from the middle of the day to 10 o'clock at night, and we're not seeing it today either. I don't know why that is. It's really hot and humid here during the day. You would think as hot as it is and as thick as the air is, that at night you would actually run better, but you really don't seem to.
First lap for Jimmy Johnson, the throwaway lap, 49.53. You guys are looking for a sponsor for next season, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. You got one?
I can't help you out there, but you can talk about it.
Yeah, Citgo had some changes in their company, and unfortunately that affected what it is that we do and our relationship with them. We've had 3.5 great years. We've won some races together and been a very successful program for them and for us as well. Unfortunately, their redirection, their change of direction and how they want to market their company doesn't include NASCAR Winston Cup racing. So we are on the market for a new sponsor. There's a tremendous amount of activity, a lot of interest in our team and what it is we can do for companies, and we feel good about where we're positioned.
Checkered flag out for Jimmy Johnson, completing his 2 laps. And we'll take a look and see where he falls in. Currently 5th.
It's pretty tight up there at the top, isn't it?
It sure is.
A couple of tenths makes a big difference.
So his teammate Jeff Gordon, the fastest so far. And Johnson falls in 5th of the 11 cars that have made a lap here so far at Daytona. Some news today. Safer barriers are coming to Richmond, coming to New Hampshire International Speedway, and could be coming to the Homestead track. They're already in place at Indianapolis. You've talked about this a lot. Your reaction to this news?
Well, I think it's great. You know, one of the things that we really got into and everybody got frustrated with was people wanted it to happen, and they wanted it to happen right now. And NASCAR wanted that to happen too. When they really got into it and started to understand that the degree of banking, the angle that you enter the corner, all those things have an impact on the type of system that you need. So what worked in Indy didn't necessarily work in New Hampshire and didn't necessarily work at Charlotte. Fortunately, they found that out, and they took the time to find that out. Had they not taken the right amount of time, we could have done more injury to drivers by putting the wrong thing up. So in our haste to get things done, we could have made a major mistake. It's taken a long time to do it, but what's being put up is correct. And putting something up wrong is wrong. So I applaud NASCAR for, number one, being part of the process along with the IRL to make a better wall system. Number two, having enough patience and understanding to do it the right way. And then number three, as soon as able to get it up on the racetracks. That's a huge deal. I mean, people talk about soft wall technology like it's a simple process. This is a complicated, these cars weigh, they weigh 3,600 pounds with the drivers in them, and they're going 180 miles an hour. They hit things really hard.
Yes,
and if you put the wrong stuff up, that's a bad thing. So this is a major deal for safety in race cars, and I applaud everybody's effort to get it to where it is.
Casey Mears in his 2nd race here at Daytona. This would be his 2nd race Saturday night. The first lap for him in the books, 49.67. They're only going up at Richmond and New Hampshire. Homestead is a strong possibility. I talked to Curtis Gray, who's the president of the Homestead track, earlier this afternoon. He said they are putting them in. They're not sure of the timeline. The reason they're only going in at certain tracks, NASCAR is basically calling this a real-world test. They want to put them up and have them tested under race conditions.
I have no firsthand knowledge, but I can almost assure you that next year you will see them at a lot of racetracks. I mean, and I think that you possibly could see them at more racetracks than are talking about it right now, even this year. There's been a lot of testing done, and they wouldn't be putting them up if they didn't have a lot of, really good feeling about it. So this is the start of a major trend that's going to happen, and it's going to happen fast. Once now the ice has been broken, now it's going to happen, and it's going to happen on an awful lot of racetracks.
Thank you, Jeff Burton. Casey Mears has completed his 2 laps, currently 6th of the 12 cars that have run. But pro qualifying continues at Daytona after this.
TNT Mondays. TV Guide calls it the best new show on television, and riveting. Television's best new series is now on TNT. Boomtown, Mondays at 10, only on TNT.
Boomtown Mondays at 10 on TNT after Law and Order. It's NASCAR on TNT live from Daytona Beach, Florida, and Bud Pole qualifying to set the field for Saturday night's primetime Pepsi 400. This is one of 4 drivers who need to get in on time because they are not eligible for a provisional. Mike Bliss in a 3rd entry from Joe Gibbs Racing, and it's going to be close.
It is going to be very close. 49.313, 182.51. My best guess is he's going to make it on time. Marty.
BP, Jamie McMurray went from 9th to 3rd on the 2nd lap there, but for a guy who's 3rd, you're pretty disappointed. Why?
Well, the track slowed down. We thought that we would run like a 30 or a 40. So when you run an 80, you're disappointed. But I don't know. I think it's like talking to Jimmy and Casey. They both slowed down a couple of tenths too. So I'm gonna go get some ice cream. Make myself feel better.
Yeah, BP, he's going to get ice cream. What's your order? He's willing to come get some and bring it up to the booth. What do you want?
A mixed twirl.
He wants a chocolate vanilla swirl. Is that okay with you? Alan and Wally, what do you guys want?
I'm getting the banana split.
You're gonna get a banana split. So that's 3 chocolate vanilla swirls. Cones or cups, guys?
Cups.
Okay, cups for those. And I think Alan wants sugar cone, probably. I'm guessing.
You guys just wait on me. I'll be right up there.
Yeah, right.
It'll probably be melted by the time he gets here.
JB is third right now out of 13 drivers that have gone. Matty.
And one driver, 7th fastest in practice, Matt Borland, talking to Ryan Newman. How about tonight, Ryan? What about your chances?
Well, we've run fast enough to get the pole so far, but I don't know that's what's going to take to get the pole. So we'll just see if we can get a couple good laps in with the Autel Dodge. Only one of them's going to count, and see where we end up for Saturday night's race.
Alan?
Ryan Newman scheduled to come out as the 18th driver to qualify, and the 14th is on track now, Kyle Petty.
And fans, you remember the last time that the 12 car was here. Man, oh man, what a deal that was coming off turn 4.
You know, just in case anyone's forgotten, I just have a sneaky feeling we'll remind him in a little bit.
Okay, when he goes out, we'll remind him.
Yeah, I think so. There, the running order at the top of the screen. See the ticker as it goes by, and of course our TNT pace chase relating Kyle Petty's lap as it stands on the track now. 2 of the pole leading laps so far. Remember, this is Kyle's first circuit around, so it's going to be slower than the second lap will be. Kyle Petty in his 44th Daytona NASCAR Winston Cup race. Qualified 30th here for the Daytona 500 back in February. Started 30th, I should say, in the 500. Wound up finishing in 13th spot when the checkered flag waved. He qualified 10th fastest on time trial speed, but then had some troubles in his 125 qualifying race.
And we can see, when I saw him going down the backstretch, I said, well, that's not going to be a bad lap, but it's getting slower,
I noticed that too.
It's slower and slower.
As soon as that car gets straight, those numbers go up in the center. Look at that.
Oh, man, look at it just fly up.
Like it throws a parachute out the back.
Looked to me like the water got too hot and the engine started really slowing down.
Could be.
13th out of 14 that have run so far for Kyle Petty. Rusty Wallace still to come. Saturday night, experience more in-car camera action with NASCAR In-Car on In-Demand. NASCAR In-Car, you get 5 in-car camera channels, virtual dashboards, real-time in-car data, and live team audio. 1-888-SPORTS-IN is the number to order the half-season package, and it's only on digital cable. Mike Wallace just finishing his Bud Pole qualifying run here at Daytona. That's not bad.
That's pretty good.
8th out of 15 for the U.S. Army car. Mike had practice 16th overall, so he may end up right in that same ballpark by the time it's all done. Jeff Gordon still leading. Matty?
Rusty Wallace lost an engine in practice. Now, Rusty, the biggest thing on your team's agenda, a good lap on the track so you can get a good pit stall?
That's about it. With the new NASCAR rules, if you blow an engine, you go tailback no matter what. So the very first lap on the racetrack, we broke a piston, and it put us, we put the backup engine in. I believe the car's going to qualify pretty good with that engine. But because of that, we're just going out for pit stall selection right now, and that's about it. I'm going to have to come from the back to the front. And thank gosh we're at a restrictor plate track. It seems like every time I'm in the back, I get to the front pretty quick. I feel good about the car. It's brand new, it looks hot, it's running good. But, man, I wanted to qualify good down here, and that broken piston, man, we didn't need that.
Rusty Wallace wants to qualify well, but he certainly wants to win a race here, Benny Parsons, something you did back in 1975.
Hey, Mandy talked about breaking the piston. A new toy I have this year, an engine, the front 2 cylinders of the engine, but it works. It goes up and down. This is the piston that Rusty Wallace was talking about. See, it goes up and down in the cylinder bore. He broke one of these. It doesn't go up and down anymore. It doesn't compress that fuel air mixture. And also, do I need to turn this a little bit more so we can see the piston better?
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, rusty braking. And today, NASCAR officials confiscated Michael Waltrip's carburetor. They talked about something was wrong with the Venturi. The air goes down. This is the Venturi area. The air goes down in. Here's how it works. That's idle, wide open. You see the air goes down through there. They had done something inside here that NASCAR didn't like, so they took the carburetor away from these guys.
Show and tell. Very nice, BP. Bobby Labonte's on track. The driver who is 4th in the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship did not practice all that quickly. 38th fastest earlier today. I like that. Did you do all that work yourself?
No. Joey Arrington did that, as a matter of fact. Well, the guys at Dodge's help, Joey Arrington. I talked to him today and told him I loved it. Great piece.
Another one of the phrase that comes to mind is new toys, but new things we have to show you what happens in NASCAR racing, take you inside the sport, places where you don't normally get to go. Bobby Labonte has had terrible luck here at Daytona of late. His finishes last 3 times out at this track, 34th, 32nd, 41st, can't seem to get to the checkered flag. For a guy running 4th in the championship, he needs better luck on Saturday night. Check out what's been happening to Bobby Labonte here at Daytona. This was in the 500.
All by himself coming off turn 2. Some cars pull up behind him, alongside of him, got the car loose, and around he goes.
Talladega, the big one. Almost through it, almost through it.
Oh, right there, they get together.
Tracks blocked, sorry. It's been the story of these Daytona and Talladega races for Bobby Labonte. But the 2000 NASCAR Winston Cup champion just hoping for a clean run, and Wally, a pretty good effort in qualifying.
I was going to say, for a guy that ran 38th in practice, I would be pretty happy with that right now.
Benny and I both were talking to Bobby earlier down in the garage, and boy, the optimism and the energy around that team is just unbelievable.
I told him, you know, he's like a different person. He is so energetic, he's so up, and he is enjoying life again. It is, last year was a very dismal year for Bobby Labonte, that entire crew, but not so this year.
Ricky Craven next up in Bud Pole qualifying here at Daytona. The Newburgh, Maine native. Kind of been struggling a little bit lately with this qualifying he and this team have. They've been qualifying in the 30s in 5 of the last 6 races this season. Of course, the Daytona Talladega races, completely different animals. This team using its own engines for most of the races, the open engines, if you will, but they get their horsepower from Richard Childress Racing for the efforts on the restrictor plate tracks.
And I think we need to give Richard Childress a plug for last week at the Infineon Raceway, because Ricky Craven had all kinds of problems with their in-house engines.
Yeah.
And they had an oiling problem. And rather than try to fix it, they just went to Childress, got an engine, oil pump, oil lines, everything, installed it in his car, ran all day, and no problem. Cal Wells today, I talked to him, was very appreciative of Childress for all his help.
Ricky time trial 15th fastest back at Speed Weeks for the Daytona 500.
Well, see that when he hits that racetrack, that just kills your lap time. It doesn't look like much, but a 1/10 of a second, as you can see on the board, a lot of spots.
Yeah, look at the times coming across the top of the ticker and how tightly packed together everyone is. 66 to an 84. Very tight. So Ricky Craven, the 17th driver to qualify, coming down to the checkered flag to finish his lap, see if he can nestle himself up somewhere to get a good starting spot for Saturday night's race, and a good pick of pit positions too. We've heard a couple of guys mention that, how important it is.
Good lap for Craven, goes up in 8th position, 49.111. Matty.
Matt Kenseth's first in points, but 47th on the sheet, Matty. Hopefully this car races much better than it practices.
Can't race any worse. Yeah, pretty frustrating. The same car we ran at the shootout and the same car we ran at Talladega, and it seemed to race okay, but you know, they all race pretty decent when you get in dirty air. And you know, basically when you show up here, if you got a slow car, you got a slow car for the race too. So we're just gonna have to you know, hope to be smart for the race and hopefully be lucky, stay out of trouble, get some good pit stops, and you know, hopefully be in that lead draft at the end.
We've seen the Roush guys so many times qualify in the back, race well, and finish in the front.
Ryan Newman is out on track now, hoping for better things than happened to him at lap 56 of the Daytona 500 back in February.
There we see him making contact with Kenny Schrader in the 49 car. Watch this. Now watch this. The rear axle housing just leaves the car.
Oh, sign of just how much energy that car was throwing off while it was flipping like that.
Man. Oh. But he's walking away. He said the biggest problem he had a big strip of grass and turf in his lap and couldn't get out of the car.
You know something's wrong when you're in the race car and there's turf in your lap?
Yeah, exactly. He said,
That's like when Benny's on the golf course. You know, the divots, they come up.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful.
Ryan was 7th fastest in practice. And, you know, they're going to walk away at the end of this season wondering what might have been. You know, they've run so strong. They've got the victories already, a couple of wins so far this season. 5 times so far already this season in 16 races. They've not been running at the checkered flag.
Yeah, they've really had more pride. I don't know who's worse, he or Dale Jarrett. Dale is Dale worse than he is?
Yeah. And that's not the stat column you want to lead.
No, exactly.
It's like the baseball player leading the league in strikeouts.
Pretty good lap for Ryan Newman on the first one, 49.768.
Just couldn't hold it right along the yellow line there. See him scoot up just a little bit?
A lot of cars have been doing that down there. If he picks up like Bobby Labonte and Ricky Craven did on their laps, they're about the same first lap, so he could be up there in the top 6.
Ryan leading the circuit in Bud Pole Awards won this season. 4 times he's been fast qualifier this year. Atlanta, Bristol, Lowe's Motor Speedway in Charlotte, and Dover. He was the top time trialer. So how about here at Daytona tonight? Jeff Gordon, the man to beat, as Newman comes into the checkered flag.
He didn't pick up. He picked up a little bit,
but not enough. 11th out of 18 for Ryan Newman. Bud Pole qualifying. Rusty Wallace is coming up shortly. Shane Meal trying to make his Winston Cup debut, driving Richard Petty's 43. The problem is he may not be in the field for the Pepsi 400. And what a... I try to remember the last time, if there's been a time when a Petty 43's not been in a race here at Daytona.
I don't think he's going to make it, because right now he's 19th out of 19 cars that are running. He does not have the owner's provisional to fall back on. So,
boy, we'll have to wait and see, but that could be a big story on the night tonight. Dave Burns has been meandering around the grounds. Dave, where are you?
Alan, I actually found Wally's car, and I thought, since Jeff Burton was talking about the safer barriers and the walls and the tracks, we check out Wally's car to make sure it was compliant with NASCAR's new safety rules. And one of the things that I noticed is that the driver's cocoon area here is so much improved over what it was a few years ago. It's hard, you can hardly move your head in here. You've got the helmet inside the headrest, and they've done a great job with that. But it's got all the rest of the safety features. Wally, I checked it out for you and everything. It's even got the kill switch here, which I'll go ahead and test for you to make sure it's working right. So let's just make sure we can we get it fired up first.
Oh, he flooded it.
Yeah, but you know, the good thing about flooding
Get out of my car,
good thing about flooding it is that it'll fire eventually, right? So now, to demonstrate, well, maybe I won't do the kill switch.
Hey, Dave, check out the safer barrier someplace.
Yeah. Oh, that was another shift. Did you hear that, Robbie? He'll never make it on a road course.
Just so you know, Dave is on the infield road course, the road course portion
there you go.
of Daytona, and safely out of Rusty Wallace's way.
I don't know about that.
All right, you heard Rusty tell us the story earlier. Lost an engine, so it doesn't matter how he comes out in qualifying as far as his starting position. He'll drop to the rear of the grid on Saturday night for the green flag. But we've heard 3 people now tell us about pit position and how important that is.
If he could get a good time and be able to pick his pit 6th, 8th, 10th best, it would make a big difference when it comes time to make those 6-7 pit stops that he has to make in the 400-mile race.
And, of course, pit positions are chosen based on the results of qualifying. The fastest qualifier gets first pick of pit stalls and so on. But by the way, just to clarify, the car Dave was driving is the car that Wally will drive in our pre-race show Countdown to Green throughout this remainder of the season.
And I really thought he was going to check out a safer barrier someplace when he started talking about that.
He's not back yet.
Well, he might have, yes.
Okay, it's the car Wally will drive in Saturday night's Countdown, provided Dave gets it back in one piece.
This is not a very good lap for Rusty Wallace.
No.
He's not going to get a very good pick on that pit stall, BP.
19th out of 20 that have run. So not too good for Rusty Wallace. He will come from the back of the field Saturday night. Attempt to get a victory here at Daytona. Oh, Dave's not done yet.
He's taking another lap.
Bud Pole qualifying from Daytona International Speedway on TNT is brought to you by Taco Bell, where you can spice up the night. By Suzuki, maker of innovative motorcycles and all-terrain vehicles. And by Pepsi Cola, and experience the joy of Pepsi. Stacy Compton has Larry McClure's number 4 car out on the track. Been selected to drive that car this week here at Daytona. Remember, they split up with Mike Skinner after failing to make the Michigan race, and road racer Johnny Miller had the wheel at Sonoma a couple of weeks ago. While we watch Stacy run, let's check back with Bill Weber.
And we're watching the action from the wagon down here in Victory Lane with the most recent winner on the NASCAR Winston Cup circuit. That would be Robbie Gordon. Congratulations on your second NASCAR Winston Cup win.
Thank you very much. You know, that is my second one, but I kind of consider the 125 here my third one then. You know, we did win the 125 when it started off at the beginning of the year, so I think we'll be pretty good tonight in qualifying as well.
Well, you're 42nd on my sheet in practice, and you sat down here saying, I think I got a shot at the pole.
Well, last time we picked up 7.5 tenths before the Daytona, and we qualified third.
Yeah, but nobody's picking up tonight.
Yeah, I know, but one thing we're doing at RCR, no, I'm not saying we're sandbagging. We're conserving our engine because now you have to qualify with the same engine, and you really don't want to overheat the thing in practice qualifying runs because you only have so many life cycles through it, and we tried to make the most of it. Spinny, all the guys, everybody at RCR has been doing a really good job. As of Sonoma, you know, we won a race there, and we've been really good on restrictor plates lately as well.
Okay, now you were watching qualifying, so you know what Benny and Wally were talking about earlier. We're going to go back and take a look at some of the action from Sonoma 2 weeks ago. Walk me through this, Robbie.
Well, I mean, you know, they made it very clear in the driver's meeting we could race back to the caution. You know, as far as the thing with Harvick, you know, there's a respect issue, and you know, I felt that he didn't leave a lot of respect on the table when he passed me when he did, because Ron Fellows went by both of us. So we took every advantage we could under caution, do whatever. That wasn't for the win, though. That was for 5th place on the racetrack. We still had the strongest race car all day long. You know, I know Jeff Gordon kind of took his side or whatever, but the same thing I was telling Jeff Gordon, you know, if you had the fastest race car, then why did I lead the most laps? And why did I have the fastest race lap? And why did we win the race? And as far as passing on the yellow, the check cashed.
Can you understand why fans are concerned because you and Harvick are teammates?
We are teammates, and we do work together. I felt the reason Harvick was real good there is because we shared a lot of information with him. He shares a lot of information with me next week when we go to Chicago. We're still have to share that information. I had a talk with Richard Childress this morning. I don't see anything changing as far as Richard Childress Racing goes, as far as information trading. We're both competitive, and when you have 2 competitive race car drivers like that, you're going to fight for every position you can. NASCAR Winston Cup racing is more competitive than it ever has been, and that's why you're not seeing guys come out and win 10, 12, 13 races like Jeff Gordon used to do. All the teams are that much more competitive. It's real hard to win a Winston Cup.
On the track now, the Winston Cup point leader in the championship standings, Matt Kenseth.
Hey, Robbie, this is Benny Parsons up in the booth. I saw you talking with Jeff Gordon in the garage area this afternoon. So did you guys clear the air and get it out on the table?
You know, I think a lot of times the media brings so much stuff out into the open that just isn't that big of a deal. You know, Jeff was just disappointed that we outran him all day long. That's the way I look at it.
What was your conversation today?
About those things. And it was all good. I mean, I got a lot of respect for Jeff as a race car driver. And as we continue to put ourselves in position to win races, he'll earn respect for us as well.
And folks, let me tell you that it was not an animated discussion. Those guys were laughing and slapping each other on the back. I mean, it looked like 2 friends having a conversation.
Well, I think, you know, Benny, you've seen that in the past. You were a race car driver as well as Wally. I mean, you know, when you put on those helmets, you are fierce competitors. And for about a 30-minute period after you take off that helmet, you're still in that car, even though you've stepped out of it. And sometimes you say things you don't really mean.
You're exactly right. I mean, Robbie, you know, everybody talks about the gentleman's agreement. Race car drivers don't get those jobs because they're gentlemen. And, I mean, you know, you made that pass, and like I said, you asked 3 times or 4 times in the driver's meeting about it, so you cleared the air as far as I'm concerned. I mean, if you're going for the win, hey, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing that I want the fans to know is I was in contact communication with my spotter. I had already passed where Christian Fittipaldi was in the wall, so there was no risk. We weren't risking someone's life out there going to help Christian or a crash car in the corner. I knew that turn 9, 10, and 11 were clear, and it wasn't going to be an issue.
Matt Kenseth, the Winston Cup point leader. We talked about it earlier in our broadcast. Did not bring a car they thought would qualify here very well. It did not. Currently 21st of the 22 cars that have gone, 47 cars going for 43 spots. You would do it again, and you'll understand now if somebody does it to you.
Well, it's no different than what Jeff did at Texas. You know, NASCAR and Jeff, he decided to give Matt his position back. What he was trying to do is keep lap cars down. I think NASCAR needs to stay with this rule because I think it makes the racing a lot better. If you don't allow racing back to the line, guys will not make up laps when they have a flat tire like we did at Richmond and stuff like that, because you won't be allowed to race back and you'll never get your laps back. So I think that the way we race back under cautions, we have spotters, we know where the accidents are, provided we do that safely in accident situations, I say it's all good. And, you know, they said in the driver's room, Mike Helton said, there is no gentleman's agreement when you put on those helmets. He said, race back to the line. You guys understand what you have to do. And I understood exactly what we needed to do. That wasn't why we won the race, though. That's the main thing I want to get out there, is we did lead the most laps. Right. We were strong all weekend long. And I'll be honest, at the end of the race, I was pretty conservative. I didn't know if Jeff was saving tires for me, so I kind of backed up to him to make sure I didn't use up my stuff in case he was going to make a last-minute dash at me.
And you thought maybe for a moment you did have a tire going bad.
I did. Well, what we did is we pitted a little earlier for track position, and we had to conserve fuel. Well, when you scrub your tires, you burn a little more fuel because you got to give a little more gas to keep the speed up. So I didn't scrub my tires on that caution. On the restart, I must have had a lot of debris on my tires, so I slid around quite a bit.
Okay, let's watch Tony Stewart here, the second of his 2 laps, trying to earn a good starting spot in the Pepsi 400. 22nd.
This is not going to be bad. This is going to be a top 10 run, I believe, for Tony Stewart.
Currently 7th, BP.
I remember back at Daytona Speed Weeks, Tony didn't even finish his time trial run. Had the engine problems.
Oh, that thing's got to slow down if he's going to make it a top 10. Oh, it's going to be close. I think so.
7th place.
All right.
Robbie, thanks so much for stopping by. Congratulations on the win. Good luck here Saturday night.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Robbie Gordon getting ready to go make his qualifying lap. 47 cars going for a spot. Gordon leads the way. Jeff.
Buckle up.
Let me try.
And don't click. TNT's bring you Days of Thunder. Tom Cruise in Days of Thunder tomorrow after NASCAR on TNT.
Keep your racing going when we get done with the Busch Series action tomorrow night.
Well, you've said many times to me you thought that was a great movie. That was one of your favorite movies.
The debut when Renee Zellweger became famous. Right? That's first debut picture.
Is that why it's your favorite?
Yeah.
And Christian Fittipaldi and Shane Meal are 23rd and 24th. 24 cars have taken time so far. It's right now Shane Meal and Christian Fittipaldi, 23rd and 24th. Snyder not looking good for Petty Enterprises.
Yeah, BP, that old famous number 43 may not be in the race, and Shane Mill may have missed the race. Shane, what happened on the qualifying lap?
Well, I broke second and third gear, and I hate it for everybody with Petty Motorsports and Very Burst Cheerios. We were going to try to get this special paint scheme in the show, but we don't get to now. We were going to pick up a little bit with only having first and fourth gear. It's kind of hard to get up to speed with these ratios, but the guys did a really good job. They were going to pick up the car with, it was going to be a lot faster. We probably lost a half a second, and that would put us somewhere in the top 36. We'd have made the show with no provisionals, but now all we can do is hope for rain or hope it gets real humid and beat about 11 cars. But I hate it for everybody. I wanted this to be my first Winston Cup debut, but I don't know if it'll be tonight, but we sure did try.
Every piece of real estate's critical in those 2 laps, and when you lose second and third gear, that's really going to hurt. Matt?
Earlier today, Dale Earnhardt Jr. was 3rd quick in Busch Series practice, then won the pole. 3rd quick in Winston Cup practice. How about your shot for your first pole here at Daytona?
Well, we did real well in February qualifying and seemed to be improving a little bit at a time. And Mike slowed down a lot, though. He said that his air just didn't seem to react right with the car and had a little trouble slowing down. But if Tony Jr.'s got everything right, hopefully he does, we'll get the pole. If not, sure we won't have no trouble getting to the front once they drop the green
on Saturday night.
You're saying how cool this car looks with all the lettering up that glows.
Oh yeah, I love the night races because we get to run all these decals that kind of reflect and glow under the light, and it looks, really looks good. It's kind of cool when you're able to do something a little bit different. And, you know, with Budweiser, they like to do it with class, and I think this car says class all the way.
And he told me a few moments ago, wait till tomorrow night when the flames glow on his Busch Series car.
Check out Pace Chase. Ricky Rudd had it in the green there for a second.
Down through the corner, he was in the green. As soon as he got to the straightaway, it started going back the other direction. Now let's see as he goes back in the corner. He's 9/10. Whoops. The numbers continue to climb.
Rudd and this Wood Brothers team time trialed 5th fastest for the Daytona 500 in February. I spoke with Ricky earlier today. He felt like they were as strong. He said, look for us to be 5th to 10th when qualifying's all done.
Not going to work. 14th so far.
Alan. Yeah. You know, wouldn't you think that if it was your favorite movie, you would know the actors and actresses in the movie?
Why? What did I get wrong this time?
What did you tell me?
I said it was Renee Zellweger.
Yeah. She wasn't in the movie Days of Thunder.
I think he's talking about Tom Cruise's ex-wife.
No, I'm
Nicole
thinking of
Nicole Kidman.
Jerry Maguire.
Oh,
that's well, what is your favorite movie?
Well,
is it Jerry Maguire or is it Days of Thunder?
Movie. My favorite movie of all time? Is that what you want to know?
Or we all thought it was Days of Thunder, but obviously you're changing your mind.
Obviously. Obviously, I had the wrong female lead there, huh?
You sure did.
Yeah. On to better topics. Here's Jeff Burton, who joined us on the wagon earlier. You know one thing I like about working with you all?
Nothing.
You can always be counted on to point out any mistake that's made.
Well, it took me a while, but I'm like, Renee Zellweger, wait, what movie was I watching?
It took you a while, and 15 people down in the truck calling you up in your headset, too. It's okay.
Oh, now everybody's ganging up on Alan.
No.
It's a conspiracy.
No. I was wrong.
I can't. I was just going to say, that hurts you so much to say that. It does.
Does it make you feel better if it does?
Makes me feel great.
I knew that was coming. All right. Jeff Burton, heard him talk about earlier, his team making a concerted effort to try and improve their performance on the restricted tracks, Daytona and Talladega.
BP, sir, Mark's car and the 99 car, it just seems like their noses are so far up off the racetrack, going down the straightaway, more than any of the other cars. Watch the front valence.
Talking about the front bumper and the height from the bottom of it to the racetrack.
Just looks high to me.
I don't know if there's a black strip under that
too, but so you see how much the car bounces in the corners. It looks high.
We see as we watch our TNT pace chase that there we can see the space under the front bumper. There is a black strip under there, but
it's been either hot or cold for Jeff Burton here. His last 6 Daytona qualifying runs have either been in the top 10 or in the 30s. Nothing mid-pack for him.
Well, we can put him back in the 30s again, it looks like, as the TNT pace chase continues to get larger and larger, the numbers.
26th car to qualify, coming to the checkered flag. And he's going to be 19th out of those 26. Well, Dave has gotten out of Wally's race car. We think he's parked that safely. Where are you at now, Dave?
I parked it right next to the pit cruiser, Alan. Yeah, exactly. The pit cruiser's back. In fact, as I was driving, you know, 90, 100, 150 miles an hour around the road course, I found it back here on the backstretch. I also found David Green hanging out on it. He is, of course, driving in both races this weekend. Being a former Busch Series champion, he was smart enough to wear the Hendrick hat for his Winston Cup car and the Timberwolf shirt for his Busch car. How was your Cup car? It ran pretty well in practice. We know you got a tow, but then a pretty good qualifying run.
We had a great practice, and right at the very end, of course, everybody's trying to get that last good lap in, and I had a group of cars around me, so the time was misleading, but we thought we could be solidly in this field. I think right now we're ninth. Gary Dehart and the old Haas team with Kellogg's, Quaker State, GMAC, all of our sponsors, put a great effort forward here. You know, it's kind of an R&D team, But at the same time, we work hard in making our 60 car fast as long as all the other Hendrick teammates.
You lead the Busch points. We're going to see you live on TNT tomorrow night right here. What about the championship, David? It's within reach.
Absolutely. And first of all, I got to say, hey, it's good to have TNT back. And to be the point leader coming into y'all's first show is kind of exciting. And but I can't say enough. My Timberwolf Team Bruco team out of Central City, Kentucky has been awesome all year long. I have been so excited to go to the racetrack. We've had a great year. We've had a couple of dips and whatever, but you're going to have that in the season. But, you know, we're right in a position I want to be at. My team is so strong. And we're going to have some more bumps in the road, but we're looking at Homestead to finish this deal off.
Okay, stick around, David, because I've got my people now working on live music, catering. You know, the pit cruise is a great place. Exactly. So the pit cruise is a great place to be. Alan, wish you were here, but there's not enough room right now.
How did Dave get this gig? I mean, we're up here working. He's down there partying. What's up with that?
How does Dave get people? Dave said he has people working on that.
That's what I'm talking
about. We don't have people working on anything.
Man.
He's got a better agent than you do, I guess. Yeah. Ward Burton, Daytona 500 champion of 2002, is on track now. Was 34th fastest in practice.
Looks pretty good right there.
Yeah, Pace Chase says he's got a good lap going here.
Well, he's going to be about a third of a second slower than our pole sitter, currently Jeff Gordon.
A lot of these guys seem to lose a lot of time, it seems like, or we watch that number climb is right coming off of 4.
It seems like the car starts to push, and as it gets tighter off the corners, that number just really starts to build.
Like that?
Yeah. And there it goes.
I noticed with Ricky Rudd just a moment ago, he pushed off turn 4 and all the way down the front straightaway. The number just kept building.
15th out of 27 for Ward Burton. There's where he slots in on the starting grid to this point. You see the Chevrolets of Jeff Gordon and Michael Waltrip currently holding down row number 1. Championship leader, Marty, he's back in row 13 for now.
Yeah, currently 25th, Alan, and you can see the disappointment on his face. But, Matt, does it really matter where you qualify at a restrictor plate track?
Yes and no. I mean, it doesn't really matter where you start at a restrictor plate race as long as you don't get caught up in a mess being in the back right away. So, you know, our cars drove really well last time we were here in the 500. It drove all right. Drove okay at Talladega. So that's the good side of it. The bad side is qualifying usually doesn't lie to you. Restrictor plate race, you know, the driver can't really help you or the driver can't really mess it up either. And we're just that's as fast as our car is. So that's the bad news. But hopefully we'll get it to handle good on Saturday and be able to get up there in a decent position.
Robbie Reiser told us earlier he was willing to trade a slow car for a car that drove better. Matt?
4-time Daytona winner Dale Jarrett, 26 in practice. Now, your crew chief, Sean Parker, told me he's put it all back to the original setups and told Doug it's up to him and up to you.
Well, my job's get it in high gear, so...
You're not breaking anything.
That's exactly right. Make sure that it's done right, and hopefully we can do that. Can't believe you put me on here the most anticipated qualifying lap. Everybody's looking forward to with Dale Jr. out here, but...
It's a Dale theme going.
I got you. But, you know, hopefully this second half of the year is going to be a lot better for us. So we'll talk about positive things. Man, I've had a great vacation. I got to spend 4 days with my wife in Cabo with Fred and Lisa Wagonalls. Now the last 7 days have been spent with my kids. I got to see Zachary win his All-Star baseball tournament. My girls are getting ready for the Nationals in their AAU basketball. Jason's second in the points. So we got a lot of good things going on, and we'll forget about those first 16 races other than Rockingham.
Man, a lot of good things are going on for Dale Jarrett, and a lot of good things going on for Dale Earnhardt Jr., especially here at Daytona, Alan.
Junior's on the track, third fastest in practice.
He's 21st fastest in the middle of the racetrack.
And it's a throwaway lap, yeah. I mean, I think that Jeff Gordon is going to be in trouble. Jeff Gordon on his first lap ran 49.39, about the same speed as Earnhardt Jr. As a matter of fact, Jr. was a little bit slower.
But most of the guys at the end of their first lap, Benny, have been right at the tail end of the field.
Oh. And we see what that little bit of bottoming out did for it. It was green, and now it's red, which means he's a little bit slower than Jeff Gordon.
Pace Chase comparing this lap versus the lap in real time of currently fastest qualifier Jeff Gordon.
And that may just been enough, BP.
Oh, it's holding right there. 300s, 400s. This is going to be close. 5. He's not going to do it, Wally. No.
They're on their feet making noise for Dale Earnhardt Jr. here at Daytona. It's going to come up one spot short. Second fastest.
And Jeff Gordon just went.
Wow, that was close. And it's amazing how close that Junior and Michael Waltrip's cars are. They're only 0.02 of a second separating the 8 and 15 cars.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. second to Jeff Gordon right now. This weekend's racing you can follow live online with NASCAR.com's free Track Pass weekend. Visit NASCAR.com for more information.
Did you say free?
I said free.
It says free right on the screen. There you go.
It's your favorite word.
Yes, it is.
This is Buckshot Jones back in a NASCAR Winston Cup machine for the first time since Martinsville a year ago, April.
And man, was he bottoming out up at 3 and 4 everywhere.
Good lap, though.
11th fastest for Buckshot. He's in the Pepsi 400. At a little bit better than 183 miles an hour. 29 of 47 drivers have qualified so far. Second fastest of them is with Marty right now.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. kind of shaking his head about the bottoming out over in 2. Was that the first time it bottomed out all day on you?
No, that wasn't the hardest it hit all day. It hit a lot harder earlier in the day, and it kind of bothered me because normally when it hits hard, you know, you're going faster, and I was worried maybe we weren't going as fast as we were. So I was thinking, man, it didn't hit good, but then, you know, might be a sign that you can go through the corners fast. So Darryl Walton knows about that, but it was a good lap, and you know, we just couldn't beat Jeff. I mean, he put up a great lap, and but you know, we'll beat him Saturday night.
There you go.
No problem.
That's the attitude, and he said he knew when it bottomed out in 2 that his lap or shot at the pole was done.
You want to know all the locals real quick?
Sure. No problem, he says. Man.
Everybody else been slower. Heavy air. This is Larry Foyt on the track now. Son of A.J. Foyt looking to make his Daytona Winston Cup debut. Was unable to qualify for the 500 back in February.
And I tell you what, he struggled a little bit in, he was 33rd best. But he's going to have to duplicate that to be able to qualify for the Pepsi 400. Another car without provisional, is that?
No,
they have one. He does have one.
He's got one. They're just pretty far down the list in order for one to get to him. The 42nd in owner points, so it's not likely to get that far back. Gonna have to talk to Junior. It's been a regime change here. I got to let him know who's up here now.
Oh,
yeah. So BP.
Yeah.
I don't want to make you feel bad, Wally, but
Alan, you can't make me feel bad.
but I've taken enough abuse for one night. All right, Larry Foyt was 33rd fastest in practice. If he can wind up in that same spot tonight, he'll be in the Pepsi 400 Saturday. Lap 1 not enough to move the needle.
Needs to pick up about a half second. That's all, just a half second.
Doesn't seem like much.
No, it doesn't seem like a great deal at all, but when it comes to these race cars, trying to pick up 1/10 of a second is a struggle.
Larry looking for his 11th NASCAR Winston Cup start in his rookie season, and it's pretty fair to say it's been somewhat of a heavy learning curve for him this year. AJ knows where victory lane is here at Daytona.
Won the Daytona 500 in the Wood Brothers car, I think 1971.
Good lap for Larry.
He's in. How about that?
Great lap.
Nice job for Larry Foyt. 16th out of 30 in Bud Pole qualifying here at Daytona.
Johnny Benson was 20th in practice, has just taken the white flag. His first lap, 49.69 seconds. Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Jr. currently the provisional front row here for the Pepsi 400. Benson bottoming out near the same spot that Dale Earnhardt Jr. did. Johnny currently 12th. You can see on the pace chase, now 11th. Trying to climb into the top 10.
This is going to be a great qualifying run for Benson, Bill.
Something that team could really use, Benny.
Yes.
Remember, it was this race last year when Johnny qualified 6th and got crashed out early in the race and re-injured those ribs. It's just 8 laps in. Caused him to miss some seat time. Pretty good numbers. They'll probably be pretty happy with that, huh, Bill?
I would certainly think so. And we're down here on the wagon outside of Victory Lane, and we're joined by Curtis Gray, the president of the Homestead, Florida track, and you've got a lot of news to talk about. First of all, you are basically redesigning or reconfiguring that track. Can you tell the fans about that?
Well, Bill, we've got a brand new racetrack, as you guys have heard about, and you TV guys have been on us for a few years now about we need more exciting racing, and so have the fans and the drivers, and it's something we need to do. We're glad to deliver, and you won't believe it when you see it. It is amazing, the high bank track, and it's a variable bank track with 18, 19, and 20 degrees, but it looks like more than that. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be a great show to end the season for all three series and crown the last NASCAR Winston Cup champion ever. So
because that is where the road to the championship ends, right there in Homestead.
That's right. We're starting the second half of the season here pretty quick, and good to have you guys back aboard. And we're looking for a great second half of the season, hopefully a great points race. And ending at a new high bank track is something I think all the fans wanted to see. And I just can't tell you how excited we are to be able to host this.
And we're looking forward to getting there. Richmond announced today they're going to put in the safer barrier. New Hampshire announced today they are going to install the safer barrier for the race in September. Your situation as far as the safer barrier, we talked about it earlier. You're going to put it in, you're just not sure when.
That's exactly right. We're waiting on NASCAR, but the plan is to have it ready for November. That's what we're all shooting for. That's what NASCAR is shooting for. Our track is configured a little bit different. We do have the high bank, so it's another challenge they have to put the safer walls in, but that's what we're shooting for. It's all part of this construction process, man. We're excited.
So are we. Best of luck. Thanks for stopping by and seeing us. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you to crown a new Winston Cup champion in November.
And the last one. And Benny, we got her done, man. We finally got that banking in for you.
Thank you so much, Curtis. And I tell you, Curtis, I mean, it really is going to be exciting. Three different divisions going to a racetrack that's totally different. No one has the big book on the racetrack. Anyone could jump up and be a winner.
And settle in all three championships on the same weekend. That's the crowning moment of our season. And we're just getting underway here at Daytona tonight with Bud Pole qualifying. Dale Jarrett on track now. White flag for Dale, first of his 2 laps. Is going to get him 30th spot. This is the money lap for Jarrett now. You heard him talk about all the positive things that have been happening to him for the last couple of weeks. Boy, it's been a struggle these last month and a half, 6-7 weeks. 5 times in the last 7 races, Jarrett has not been running at the checkered flag. Unbelievable bad luck.
It has been grim for the UPS team. Jarrett and the new crew chief, Sean Parker. Listen, if you start slowing down off turn 4 like the rest of these cars have, Wally.
Yeah, the cars look real good. It's been real steady coming out of turn 2, and yep, there that number goes up, but not as quick as some of the other ones.
On pace for a 10th quick lap.
Yeah, this is going to be decent for Jarrett.
Yeah, and 10th it is. Very nice spot in the field for the 3-time Daytona 500 champion.
And that right now is the quickest Ford in the field.
Yeah, good point. Talking about the misery for Dale Jarrett that this season has been. 5 races failed to finish in the last 7. He leads the circuit in DNFs, did not finish. Some wrong place, wrong time, some mechanical failures, some just rotten luck.
But he has a good starting spot for the Pepsi 400 Saturday night. So far.
One of the guys yet to run is Kurt Busch, Matt.
And Kurt Busch, a new paint scheme, but you have really taken to this plate racing, 10 restrictor plate races, 5 top 10 finishes.
Sometimes it's luck, and then sometimes it's adjusting to what the racetrack has to offer. And I'm real intrigued by the draft and the perplexion of the race that develops as far as beginning of the run versus the end. And they've changed our rules so many times with the plate things, it's hard to keep up with it, but it's a challenge in many ways. I mean, we've been lucky, we've been good, and we've had some poorer finishes with the plate races, so it's usually been a better spot for us anyhow.
What do you think about your qualifying effort, what it should end up being tonight?
Yeah, we're right around the 27th position. It's funny. We're either +1 or -1 from the 27th spot. Whether it means anything or not, I don't know what it means. We just need to pick up a little speed by ourselves.
And he came walking up and he made one statement. He said he had something to tell Weber.
Hey, Weber, you got the new pit wagon, but it doesn't look like it was trimmed up good enough. You got new Irwin tools. That's what we got going here. They own vice grip. They got saw blades. We're going to trim that wagon up. We're made for the track.
I'll be looking forward to that. Is he gonna be involved in that work, Matt, or is he just gonna get us the stuff?
He's got people, he says, he will help you out with on that.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I'm sure my people can help his people.
And Weber has a lot of people.
Yeah, he and Burns have a lot of people.
We don't have people.
Here's Bill Elliott on track now. Ray Evernham's Dodge dealer's machine.
I'll tell you what, that is not a bad first lap. 0.7 of a second off.
A lot of people talking about earlier this afternoon at the end of practice how this car seems to pick up a lot of speed from practice to qualifying. Like it's their habit not to show everything that they have in practice.
That car looked good through 1 and 2. He was right on the bottom of the racetrack, and I didn't see any sparks come off the back.
Elliott was 25th fastest in the practice of earlier today. You could see on pace chase now he is running an 8th fastest lap, 8th, 9th.
If you can just keep that thing to stop spinning. Go the other direction. Down, not up. Oh, come on, the other way.
We haven't seen one go down yet.
No, not coming off turn 4 we haven't.
Hadn't lost any positions though. Now he's lost a couple. 4-time Daytona winner, 2 times in the 500, 2 times in the Pepsi 400. Bill Elliott right now slotting in row number 5. 14 cars still to make their Bud Pole qualifying runs here at Daytona. Check out pace chase. This is Ken Schrader coming to the checkered flag to finish his Bud Pole qualifying run. 4th fastest.
How about that for Schrader?
Score 1 for the underdog.
48.85. Just 7/100ths of a second slower than our pole sitter, Jeff Gordon, so far.
He was fast here, Daytona 500.
Yep. Here was a team that had no provisional to fall back on. They had to make the race on time. Not only did they make the race, they made it in style.
Looks like he scared poor Carrot Top to death. Of course, that Carrot Top's hair looks like that most of the time.
Very nice job for Schrader and the BAM Racing team. And now there are 13 drivers left to run. Matt?
Well, Dale Jarrett was in the middle 20s. He felt like he could pick up a 10th or 2, Elliott. What about yourself?
I think we can. I think Doug tuned on the motor a little bit better for tonight. But some of the cars have slowed down. I don't really know what's going on. It's so hard. Even if you're not drafting somebody, still a lot of air that's being turned around in practice. But we're going to give this M&M's Groovy Summer paint scheme the best deal we got.
What does he have on behind you here?
Is that cool or what? He's definitely represented Groovy Summer. It's a new M&M's promotion coming out with tie-dye M&M. So Kelly Stewart's the man. He put on the bandana and the vest for us tonight. Looks good.
What does he do?
He's our truck driver. So he's the bag-up race car driver plus the truck driver. So that's his uniform. I got my uniform. That's his uniform.
Robert Gates going to wear one?
No, I don't think Boss Man's going to wear one of them. That's why I think Kelly's wearing it.
I don't believe Robert's going to wear one either.
Here's front row Joe Nemechek.
Team cars to our pole sitter, Jeff Gordon.
Last Bud Pole Award for Joe came at Talladega in October of 2000. And of course, Joe among the drivers in tomorrow night's NASCAR Busch Series 250 miler. You'll see here on TNT starting at 8 o'clock Eastern. And he will be a threat to win. He is the defending champion of that race.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Alan, because you're right. Nemechek in the Busch Series is almost always guaranteed to run well.
He will come from 6th spot on the grid tomorrow night. Second lap now for Joe. Check out pace chase. And look at that, 75 thousandths of a second, and it's going to kick him all the way back to 14th, 13th. Talked with Joe for a pretty good bit today, and he feels like this team is right at the point of beginning to knock down some consistent results. Of course, they got the win earlier this year at Richmond. He said we're very, very close. We've just not been able to finish the races as strongly as we've run during the middle section. He said if we can put the last section of the race together with how we've been running for most of the day or night, we're going to be tough in the second half of the season. Row 8.
On the inside of row 8, 15th spot for Nemechek.
Not too bad.
It looks like that he and Peter Suspenzo, the crew chief on that car, really have come up with a good communication level between the two.
They're a lot alike. Very analytical, very smart about their race cars. They talk a lot the same way even. Here are the NASCAR top 10, the championship standings coming into the Daytona race. You see Kenseth, Gordon, Earnhardt Jr., Labonte all tucked tightly together. Then Michael Waltrip not getting a lot of credit as a championship contender, but almost halfway through the season, still 5th in the standings. And Kurt Busch, the leading winner so far this season, 6th in the standings. Could have won even more. Check it out at Rockingham, 2nd race of the season.
A little nudge from Dale Jarrett, and Jarrett goes on to the victory.
So that's one that Kurt was in contention to win in the final laps and lost out on. Then at Darlington, finish of the season so far.
Oh, just inches.
Was that not great?
The closest finish in NASCAR history.
Bristol, California, Michigan are the 3 races that Kurt Busch has won. His team, one of many, using the different paint schemes here this weekend at the Pepsi 400.
And a different sponsor this weekend. Irwin Tools come in as the primary.
You know, I was talking with Robbie Reiser, Matt Kenseth's crew chief, about that earlier, and he said you're going to start to see a lot more of this, not for the toy sales, but because as the cost of sponsorship goes up, teams are having to get more companies on board, and you've got to spread the wealth. So you're going to have a company like this maybe sponsoring a team for 5 or 6 races instead of one company picking up the whole season.
How many races is Irwin on for on this car?
That I don't know. But if you'd like, I'll endeavor to find out.
I'm sure you will.
Absolutely.
All right, let's see what Kurt Busch can do in qualifying. He's already about almost a 1/10 of a second off as he goes down in turn 1.
Remember last July's race here when Kurt was penalized? Held on pit road for a while to get his thoughts together.
Is that where you find your thoughts?
In the penalty box.
In the penalty box? Get a timeout.
Yeah. You've done that before. I'm sure you've had it done to you before.
Timeout, yes.
Yes. All right, let's see. Kurt said 27th was the number he was hovering around.
And he's right there.
Well, he beat the over-under by 2, 25th.
Was he talking about when he was over or when he went out then, 26, 27?
No, when it was over, so.
Well,
he's in the ballpark still. Marty?
Well, Alan, for a guy who just qualified for 4th, Kenny Schrader is pretty upset. Why?
Okay, big picture, I'm very happy. The guys got this thing running real good. But I didn't throw the first lap away. You know, I don't know if there's a lot there, but it didn't need a lot. Didn't throw it away because we're sitting here. We got ourselves backed into no provisionals, and anything happens that second lap, we're messed up. So didn't want to throw it away, but I'd like to do it again.
Yeah, would I like to have another shot at that again. If you throw that first lap away, run high on the racetrack, you build up more speed. He might have been on the pole, Matt.
And Kevin Harvick right in front of his teammate Robbie Gordon on the grid. First off, he just walked up. You two had a conversation. What were you talking about?
He was still trying to sell his case over last week. I think the best way to put it is he was trying to sell his case to Bill earlier too, but you know, it's all in how it is. You just play the game and you accept some things for what they are, and he is what he is. So it's all good. We got a good car tonight, and we're just gonna go try and sit on the pole.
A 4th and a 2nd finishes in his last 2 plate races. He has really taken to restrictor plate racing.
Pretty safe to say these 2 teammates have agreed to disagree.
Oh yeah, that's okay.
Here's Sterling Marlin on track now, 2-time Daytona 500 winner. 4 Bud Pole Awards here at this track for Sterling, including the 91 and 2001 editions of this race. Since this team has moved to Dodge, Ganassi Racing with Sterling, 3 top 10 qualifying efforts in 5 Daytona races. Did not get along with, you know, between your NASCAR, your road racing days and so on?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. But you don't have to get along.
No, that's right.
Part of the rules.
Hey, here we go. Green, green, green down at turn 1. Our TNT pace chase. Oh, it's red off the corner, but he's close. 1/100th of a second, or 15 thousandths, 16, 70. Oh, it's going the wrong way. Still going the wrong way.
Oh,
Oh, it's close.
A little bit the wrong way, though. All right, what about off turn 4? Everybody's lost time here all night. That's not bad.
That's not bad at all. Oh, this is a great run for Sterling Marlin.
Could it be front row? It is second fastest for Sterling Marlin. Bumsdale Jr. back to row 2. Tony Glover passing on the good news to Sterling Marlin.
The most prestigious golf championship.
Live Bud Pole qualifying from Daytona International Speedway on TNT tonight. Getting the field set for Saturday's Pepsi 400. Todd Bodine wrestling his car over the bumps in turns 1 and 2.
Been struggling trying to find some speed with this 54 car. He was about 40th best in the practice session held earlier today. And so far, 38, 37 cars have taken a time. And Shane Meal in the 43 and the 44 of Christian Fittipaldi are the 2 slowest cars right now.
Fittipaldi already bumped. Meal on the bubble now. Neither of those cars eligible for a provisional, so it is highly likely that there will be no Petty Enterprises car in the race on Saturday night when the green flag waves. Kyle Petty, that's right, yeah. 43 was the one I was thinking of, but your car was 44 when you drove it, right?
Nope.
You were 43?
I think so.
So the last time the Petty 43 was not in a race at Daytona was...
Well, let's see, 1994.
And its driver was...
I can't remember who that no-driving son of a gun was.
Yeah. His initials weren't WD, were they?
This race, 400, I believe.
Yeah.
And Todd Bodine has bumped Shane Meal out of the top 36, but he put himself on the bubble.
Yes,
Marty?
Did.
Hi, BP, and I'm with Sterling Marlin. Impressive run, and the fact that you're one of the few guys to pick up tonight. How'd you do that?
Well, we didn't really do all the stuff to it to make a bonsai run, and you know, the guys just teamed on the car. Just like to thank all the guys on the Coors Light team, and they've really done a good job. And all I done was mash it wide open. So yeah, we qualified, you know, about 10th here, February, I guess 16th, and they kept working on it, the wind tunnel, and the motor guys. They really worked hard on it, and that's what it takes.
And that does. It is what it takes to sit on the front row for the Pepsi 400. Nice run for those guys.
Here is Elliott Sadler. Talked to him a minute ago. 38 car for Robert Yates Racing. And Elliott in practice was 13th fastest.
That's a busy car. Look at the paint job on that car, don't you think, Wally?
Yeah, that's definitely tie-dyed.
You know, one of the things in the NASCAR rule book is that the numbers have to stand out so they can be read by the scorers in the scoring stand. And I'm being told that this team's going to be asked to better highlight their numbers so they stand out on the car for scoring purposes. Put some trim around the outside of them or change the color of them or something. Those are kind of funny numbers, aren't they?
They are. The number is supposed to be 38, and I guess it's a 38.
60 style. It's a groovy 38.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
And he got that from the Brady Bunch because that was his favorite TV show.
My favorite TV show was the Bugs Bunny cartoons, actually. So, Looney Tunes, it figures. Elliott Sadler looking to make his 10th Daytona Winston Cup start. Not had much luck qualifying. His average qualifying here has been 31st.
And guys, I'm telling you, this is so, well, it's starting to go the wrong direction, but his first lap was just a little bit slower than Jeff Gordon's first lap. And right now, this is on pace to be in the top 5 or 6th, we're saying.
Real-time telemetry compared to Jeff Gordon's pole-winning lap to this point. What's the spin off turn 4? Big shower of sparks there. It's not bad.
Going the wrong direction. Elliott.
7th fastest for Elliott Sadler. So now he is the leading Ford qualifier so far. 8 cars to go at Daytona. Back at Daytona, check it out. Steve Park has just taken the mud pole away from Jeff Gordon.
And this is the same car that qualified on the pole for the Daytona 500 with Jeff Green driving. Good job, guys.
Talk about a guy who needs something good to happen for him. Steve Park is it. And he's just done it here at Daytona.
And we talk about qualifying, and it doesn't mean anything, and it really does as far as the finishing position is concerned, but it really does get this crew pumped up to do a job on Saturday night.
You bet. And the driver, too.
And the driver as well, yes.
Confidence booster for sure.
Bragging rights.
So Steve Park, the 40th driver to qualify, bumps Jeff Gordon off the pole. Gordon was the 3rd driver out on the track, now 2 hours ago, almost. And he's been hanging on to that #1 spot for a long time, but the drama's gone for him.
But the 30 car has got a couple more bullets to dodge.
Yes, he does.
The 29 and 31.
His teammates.
His teammates. More cars out of Richard Childress Racing.
So Kevin Harvick is up and getting set to try and tackle his teammates' time. Just set moments ago. Let's mention that Matt Kenseth and Todd Bodine have been bumped back into provisional land. Stacey Compton is on the bubble now. And when Kevin Harvick starts his 2nd lap, we will compare his time to that of, well, let's do it now. His time to that of Steve Park. Now, Park's time was 31st fastest on his 1st lap. Harvick's right in the ballpark.
Yeah, he ran at 49.33, Steve Park did in the 30 car.
24th fastest. I'll slow down a little bit. He drifted pretty high getting into 3 there.
Kevin Harvick won the Bud Pole for this race last July.
This is going to be it. I think this lap's going to be a good one.
24th fastest.
At 49.22, that's a 1/10 of a second faster than Steve Park ran on the 1st lap.
That is right there, BP. Green.
Green. Just almost the same speed, exactly as Steve Park. Oh, red.
Right on the verge.
Right on the bubble. I think these cars from Childress are pretty close.
Last time when he went into 3, he gained some time. Gaining time here. 5 thousandths, 2 thousandths.
Didn't gain enough. I think it'll drop a little bit getting off of 4. Yep, there's a little time there.
Close, but not close enough. Kevin Harvick, 2nd fastest to his teammate Steve Park. Look what Steve Park had in his car with him just a minute ago.
No brakes.
No brakes.
Well, Steve Park, awesome run, awesome run. Did that surprise you a little bit? Only 18th fastest in practice.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Richie Childress Racing, I really want to thank the guys in the Fab Shop. I mean, they really put a body on this car, and they spent meticulous time to get this job done, and the AOL Chevy just ran superb. I don't know what to say. Just want to thank Mike Beam, all the guys on the whole entire crew, the engine shop, Spenny, good horsepower. I mean, these guys have sat on the pole for the 500, so it doesn't surprise me that they're fast enough to be in the top 5 tonight. So just ecstatic. I mean, we just haven't had the season that we wanted to have. We've had a lot of highs and a lot of lows, and you know, sitting on the poles, getting crashed in the 1st lap and stuff. So it just feels really good to qualify good. I am so happy. I mean, just to be with Richie Childress Racing and the whole organization and have America Online as a sponsor, I mean, you can't beat it. It's a great combination. I love it.
Soak it in, because you beat one teammate, you got one more to beat. Robbie Gordon's coming up in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Harvick, he runs great here, and he's 2nd right now, and that was a bullet we had to dodge, and we're glad we did. So, again, just real happy right now, and I'm going to go online and check out NASCAR.com on America Online, so thanks.
Very good. The car set on the pole for the Daytona 500 might happen here in the Pepsi 400 as well, guys.
That piece of tape that he had that said no brakes on it, they push the brakes away from the rotor so there's no drag, and the driver has to be sure and not touch the brake pedal before his qualifying run is over. That's what they put the piece of tape on.
But it also reminds you to pump the brake pedal after your run is over, because if you wait till you come down in the pit lane to hit the brakes, you're in for a big surprise.
You will have no brakes.
No brakes.
Yeah. Here's Kerry Earnhardt trying to make the Pepsi 400 field. First lap, slowest of the 42 that have run so far. A lot of work to be done on this second lap if he's going to get into the race. Top 36 on time, remember. And Earnhardt will be way far down the provisional list.
Stacy Compton was bumped by Kevin Harvick. Rusty Wallace, the 2 car, is now the 36th fastest qualifier. But to qualify that, he did have an engine change. Had an engine problem in practice, had to change engine, so he got very little time on the racetrack and no time on the engine.
Kerry has qualified 21st for tomorrow night's NASCAR Busch Series race that you'll see on TNT at 8 Eastern Time. Is he going to make Saturday night's Pepsi 400?
So far.
So far. 35th. With still 6 drivers to go to try and bump him back 2 positions. Steve Park on pole for now. Bud Pole qualifying from Daytona International Speedway on TNT is brought to you by Budweiser. The best things in life are the things that are true. Budweiser. By Analyze That. Robert De Niro and Billy Crystal are back with even more laughs, mob hits, and therapy. Order it now on pay-per-view and movies on demand. And Wendy's late night pickup window where you can eat great, even late. Jack Sprague has just finished his Bud Pole qualifying run, 33rd out of 43. He's in the field for now. Tony Range is bumped. Kerry Earnhardt is now on the bubble. And there are 4 cars to go. Marty.
Well, Alan, somehow these Richard Childress racing cars are picking up a lot of time. How are you guys doing that, Kevin?
Oh, I don't know. It's all these guys, and they bring the magic tuning, magic stick. I told you they brought the magic stick. They have the magic stick, but you know, this GM Goodwrench car is always the same car we've ran on the other speedway races. We've qualified good with it. I think we qualified 2nd at Talladega and 6th here in the 500. So we always qualify good. We always run good in a race, and you guys always ask, how'd you do that? We do it every time, so you guys ought to be getting used to it by now.
And we are kind of used to it. We're also used to DEI dominating these plate races, but is the gap closing? Is Richard Childress Racing catching up, and Hendrick Motorsports and some guys like Evernham, you guys catching up to those guys?
Well, we might be catching up, but they're still winning, and that's the bottom line. It all comes down to winning. And, you know, we think we thought we had a car that could have won the Daytona 500, but Michael Waltrip's got the trophy. We had a good car at Talladega, but Dale Jr.'s got the trophy. So we're there. We just got to finish one off now, and that's what we intend to do.
They finished it off tonight so far. It's a front row of RCR cars, guys.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick finished 2nd to Dale Jr. at Talladega, finished 4th to Michael Waltrip here in February. His point is well taken. They still got the trophies.
And there's a couple of guys that, you know, when you put your helmets on, teammates have to put their differences aside because those guys need to work together. You know, me and Ken Harvick and Robbie Gordon, if they're going to beat the DEI cars.
And that's one point that Junior keeps making in interviews, that he and Michael work together so well and have for the last 2 or 3 years, ever since Michael started driving for Earnhardt back in 2001.
Here's Jimmy Spencer. First lap, slowest of all of them that have been run so far. So Spencer's got some pretty serious time to gain on the second lap here. He was 36th fastest in practice.
Bottomed out about 3 times between 1 and 2 there.
Well, so far Spencer's run a half a lap, and he's about 4/10 of a second slow, so he should be about 8/10.
Jimmy looking to start his 25th Daytona Beach Winston Cup race. First one came back in July of '89.
I think this is going to get him in, guys. I think this is going to bump Kerry Earnhardt.
Yes, sir.
Just got him in, 35th.
So Spencer's in. Kyle Petty is on the bubble. And out is Kerry Earnhardt, and there are 3 cars to go. Dave Burns, what you got for us?
Well, Alan, when these cars start on Saturday night, we're going to see, I'm sure at some point, a car turn around backwards. And back in 1994, NASCAR and Roush Racing solved a big problem with these cars flying when they got turned around by developing these roof flaps. This one deploys first when the car spins in my direction, and then around this side there's another one. Now, the cars didn't change a lot between Daytona earlier this year and Talladega just a month ago, but one thing that they did change on the car to help this roof flap work a little bit better was they raised this rear air deflector. It was 1.5 inches. It's now 2.5 inches. And what that'll do is stall the air more back here, so the air rushing across here to pull up this roof flap does it better. There's air rushing across here, sucks it up as the car continues to spin, and this one now works better just because they raised about 1 inch right here on the rear air deflector.
Some of the guys are calling that the shark fin on the car.
And they're talking about, some of the guys are talking about that actually slowed the cars down a little bit. Someone I talked to down there said about 1/10 of a second, just the fact that it's up higher, more wind resistance, and also that big blade in yaw when the car goes in the corner and tries to spin, it slows the car down.
And fast time right now is about 1/2 second off what fast time for the Daytona 500 was. Okay, it's about 40 degrees warmer today than it was then, but 1/2 second's a lot. Robbie Gordon getting buckled in. That was the momentary delay in qualifying. And now he fires up and heads out onto his warm-up lap. Tomorrow night, it is the NASCAR Busch Series here on TNT from Daytona at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. This was Bud Pole qualifying for the Busch Series earlier today, and Dale Jr. got the job done fastest. 186.308 miles an hour for Dale Jr., the Bud Pole winning speed. He will lead the field of 43 to the green flag tomorrow night. Casey Kane, Michael Waltrip, Bobby Hamilton Jr., Mike Bliss, and Joe Nemechek round out the front 3 rows.
And these cars, you'll see the Pepsi 400 Saturday night on NBC. Our Discover Car countdown to green at 7 o'clock. Weber and his cast of characters.
By the way, I mentioned Kyle Petty on the bubble. Kyle is 37th in owner points. It is not a comfortable moment as he watches these few cars run, I guarantee.
Well, in this car here, we'll more than likely bump him unless he has problems.
Robbie Gordon, can he bump his teammates off of the front row, or one of them anyway? It's an all Richard Childress front row so far with Steve Park and Kevin Harvick. Robbie, as he told you earlier when he visited with Bill down on the wagon, winning one of the Gatorade 125 qualifying races here during Daytona Speed Weeks. His last 2 Daytona races, he has qualified 4th and 3rd.
So, I would dare say he's going to be in the top 5.
Practice for Robbie was 42nd. He was among the slowest in practice, but as again he told us earlier, they didn't put all that they had on the table.
They didn't take the magic wand out yet.
The magic stick?
The magic stick.
Yeah. Second. All right, now that's a lot. That first lap's a lot slower than Harvick and Steve Park ran.
It's about 1/4 of a second slower than either of those cars ran.
And you see on TNT Pace Chase, he's only good for 19th spot now 20th. Richard Childress looking on. His numbers are not spinning in the right direction on the Pace Chase gauge.
No, they aren't. Well, Richard, congratulations on your 2 cars on the front row of the Pepsi 400.
Robbie finished 6th in the Daytona 500 in February. He won the road course event at Sonoma last race out a week ago Sunday. Bud Pole today, he's going to end up 18th. Out of the 45 that have run, not on the front row, but in the field. He'll probably be pretty disappointed with that. Marty?
Well, Richard Childress has 2 cars on the front row, and congratulations. We were talking, it's kind of like the old days, isn't it, with both of your cars up front?
Yeah, you know, we just got a bunch of good guys back there at the shop working, the fab shop, the engine shop, Spinny. It's been a real good team effort, and that's what we try to do. And happy for Steve Park. You know, this car with Mike Beeman, America Online, was on the pole here in February, and to come back and do it again in July is pretty neat.
How have you guys been able to close the gap with DEI, not only in qualifying but also racing? Is it a complete engine effort, or is it both car and engine?
Well, I mean, it's a combination of everything. And Kevin, he's just getting better and better at running these races. And Robbie and him worked good together in the last 2 races. And hopefully with Steve in there this time, we'll even have a better shot at it.
Only fair to ask you, how'd you settle the dispute between your 2 drivers after Sonoma?
It's just one of those racing deals. You know, I'd rather have 2 guys like that both of them want to win and both of them really want to do good than try to have a driver out there that you got to push and push. And so it's always exciting. And, you know, I've had one of those that just loves to win every time, and I got 2 right now it does.
So is it definitely settled between those 2? Will there be any further controversy?
Well,
who knows? Both of them want to win and win bad, so I'll be there if it is.
Very good. And I understand you went hunting for the big team meeting after Sonoma, right?
Yeah, I just went on out to Montana, spent a little time at the ranch out there with my wife, and kicked back, did a little fly fishing, and let these guys handle it. And it all settled down. I come back, we talked, and it's all good.
His quote to the guys was, "Boys, you settle it between yourselves. I'm going hunting."
Well, they're hunting some Daytona trophies here this weekend. Steve Park, Kevin Harvick, right now on the front row with 2 cars to go in Bud Pole qualifying.
It's not hunting season, Marty.
It's fishing season.
Fishing season. It's not hunting season.
While we watch Greg Biffle on the first of his 2 laps, let's kind of take a look back through the standings here. Big tip of the cap to Ken Schrader, 7th right now. Great job by that team. The first Ford in the field is Elliott Sadler in 9th. 3 Chevrolets up front, then a Dodge, then 2 more Chevrolets, then 2 Dodges before you get back to that Ford. The second Ford doesn't come in until 16th spot with Dale Jarrett, but we have seen the last couple of years here at Daytona the Fords struggle qualifying but draft extremely well in the race.
Yeah, well, that's what Mark Martin was talking about, and Matt Kenseth. They brought cars that they felt like would drive well. Not so much concerned about this speed in qualifying. They wanted a car that they could drive for 400 miles. And Daytona, being able to get their car around the corners is very important.
Yeah. I think the car Mark has here, I think he finished 5th here in the Daytona 500 in February. So, yeah, good drive the car. He's comfortable with it.
Second lap about to be completed for Greg Biffle. And Biffle will slot in 30th spot in the field. Jimmy Spencer bumped from the top 36. Back for the final car in a minute. Back at the Daytona International Speedway, the final car is on track in Bud Pole qualifying. Dave Blaney from Ohio trying to secure a spot in the top 36. Jeff Burton is on the bubble. And the calculations are being made over who's going to be in and who's going to be out of this Pepsi 400. Blaney not too good in practice earlier today.
44th best, and we can see, although this is his throwaway lap, so hard to judge by this.
Of the fast cars, the very fastest, around 30 to 31st, has been where their first lap has come in. So if we use that as our gauge, they've got some work to do.
And it's pretty obvious that Blaney and Booty and all the boys on the 77 Jasper engine car have a lot of work to try to find some speed.
Dave has taken a provisional to get into both of the restrictor plate races so far in 2003. Started 39th in both of them.
It'll be another one.
And we'll probably make it 3 for 3 here. Sterling Marlin, 4th fastest. We've got to put him on the favorites list, and he's got his teammate McMurray up there to draft with him on Saturday night. That's going to be big. The Dale Earnhardt Incorporated cars. Junior and Michael Waltrip, 5th and 6th. As the grid stands now, they'll be tough drafting and working together in the Pepsi 400. And the Richard Childress teammates, Park and Harvick, on the front row. As Blaney finishes his qualifying run, he will be the slowest to run tonight. Burton hangs on to the final spot on time, and Steve Park wins his 2nd Bud Pole of 2003. The 45th driver to win a pole here at Daytona. Marty.
And Alan, the smile got bigger when the word became official for Steve Park. Okay, you're on the pole now. Now we got to focus on the race and 400 miles here at Daytona on Saturday night. Is that a lot tougher than qualifying here?
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, qualifying, just hold it wide open and take the shortest way around and have a good race car. And the AOL Chevy was a car that was real fast in practice and race trim and obviously fast in qualifying trim. So we're just excited.
What about this for Steve Park personally? You lost your ride earlier this year. Very fortunate to get another terrific ride, obviously, with these AOL guys. But what does this mean to you personally?
It just feels great. I mean, I just want to thank Richard Childress for giving me the opportunity to get back into a really good race car again. And America Online, great sponsor. Just really want to thank the guys in the shop. I mean, I know the race fans hear it all the time, but I mean, we're sweating here in Daytona, but they sweat for about a month putting the body back on this car after it got tore off in Daytona. Did a great job. We're on the pole, guys. Great job. Spenny, all the guys in the shop. Great horsepower. and all the mechanics that work on these cars. I mean, just ecstatic of being a part of RCR, having a great sponsor in America Online, and just excited to be on the pole.
All right, they did it in February, and they're on the pole again this year, or July. Alan?
Steve Park, no brakes needed there, just horsepower. He's your Bud Pole sitter tonight. Bud Pole qualifying from Daytona International Speedway on TNT. It's brought to you by Taco Bell, where you can spice up the night. By Suzuki, maker of innovative motorcycles and all-terrain vehicles. And by Pepsi Cola. Experience the joy of Pepsi. Here's how they qualified tonight here at Daytona. Steve Park with the Bud Pole, fourth of his Winston Cup career. His teammate Kevin Harvick alongside.
But back in row 3, still the 2 cars that everyone knows that you got to beat to win. Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Michael Waltrip.
Kenny Schrader in row 4. Good run for those guys. He had a strong car at Daytona 500. Jamie McMurray. And got some Dodges up there.
And Casey Mears, his teammate. So all 3 Ganassi cars up there in the top 12 in the grid.
See Robbie Gordon, the latest winner in NASCAR Winston Cup, and the 3rd RCR car back in 18th.
Buckshot Jones in the field.
David Green, Hendrick Carr.
And Ryan Newman, that 12 car outside of row 12, took that violent flip here in the Daytona 500.
Good news. Kyle Petty got a provisional. There will be a Petty Enterprises car in the Pepsi 400 as you look at the last driver to qualify on time with Jeff Burton. And those who got the provisional spots, those plus Stacy Compton in the 4 car. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. on TNT. Busch Series racing under the lights at Daytona. Dale Jr. leads into the green. Tom Cruise and Cocktail is next on the East Coast. Law and Order on the West Coast on TNT. Talk to you tomorrow night.